Welcome to PAC Facts. I'm Dr. Devin Paulus-Compart, Technical Service Manager with Papillon. In this short video, I'm going to talk about what prebiotics are, how they work, when they should be used, and what a typical response is. Prebiotics are non-viable food components that benefit the animal when consumed. Common prebiotics used in ruminant diets include yeast extract, also known as yeast cell wall, and yeast culture. Let's start by talking about how yeast cell walls work. Yeast cell walls are the cell wall of yeast cells, and they're made up of a few key components, including mannan oligosaccharides and beta-glucans. Mannan oligosaccharides, also known as MOS, are important for binding pathogens in the gut. They mimic the binding sites on the intestinal cell, so when pathogens enter the gut, rather than binding to the intestinal cell, they bind to the MOS and are flushed out of the system. Beta-glucans are the other key component of yeast cell wall. They're involved in modulating the immune system by increasing things like cytokines, interleukins, and immunoglobulins, thereby making the immune system more effective. Yeast cell wall has several secondary modes of action. These include things like supporting gut morphology and function, shifting bacterial populations in the gut, and binding mycotoxins. Now let's talk about how yeast culture works. Yeast culture consists of yeast cells and the media on which they were grown. When consumed by the cow, yeast culture acts as a source of growth factors for rumen microbes. What we see is increases in the total microbial population, an increase in lactic acid utilizers, as well as fiber digesters. This in turn leads to improvements in rumen pH, increases in total VFA production, increases in total microbial protein, and improvements in fiber digestion. So when should prebiotics be used? Prebiotics, especially yeast cell wall, are going to be useful for pathogen control in the gut, particularly for E. coli and Salmonella control. Additionally, prebiotics are useful during periods of stress, such as transportation, heat stress, commingling, or illness or disease. This is because prebiotics not only boost the immune system, but they also help increase dry matter intake when animals might not be consuming their normal amount. And finally, consider the use of prebiotics to generally support animal health. Prebiotics are great at supporting the rumen, as well as immune function, leading to a healthier overall animal with better digestion. So what is a typical response to a prebiotic? In calves, what we'll often see is improvements in growth, reduction in duration and severity of scours, and an establishment of the rumen microbiome and development of rumen papillae. When we're looking at adult dairy cattle, we're going to see things like improved antibody transfer to the calf, improved milk and component yield, and increases in dry matter intake, especially in early lactation. In the beef animal, we should look for things like reduced incidence and severity of disease, especially upon feedlot arrival, improvements in growth and average daily gain, and increases in dry matter intake. To learn more about Papillon's customizable solutions or how we can help you find the best way forward, visit papillon-egg.com.